Well, hi everybody and welcome to another Happy Travellers vlog. Recently we've been asked again about whether we have a car or how we get around when we're sort of away from towns and places. Well, as some of you will know, we've got electric bikes and we do use those. But the question was about the car. So we do have a tow bar on the back of the van, and we have a towing limit of 1,000 kilos, so 1 ton towing limit, or more correctly I have a 6 ton train weight limit. So whatever weight the van is, if the van was 4.5 ton, I can tow 1.5 tons. So, but I'd have to weigh the van and make sure that we were all okay to know what we could do. But let's assume that we've got an available towing limit to tow a small car, and the question really revolved around, should we have an A-frame or not? And there's two answers to that question really. Is if you're in the UK, it's perfectly okay to hook a car up on an A-frame, and especially one of these new ones with the sort of assisted braking, the hydraulic braking stuff, so that it's much safer and you don't, the car actually brakes itself while you're braking the van as well, so it all slows down together and doesn't, the car doesn't push the van from behind. So, and that's all good, all in the UK, because they're perfectly legal. The UK authorities consider the car then to be a trailer, and if it's all, it'll all be, if the braking works and your A-frame's connected up and your lights are connected up, pretty much like the laws for a trailer or a caravan. So you're all good to go. That is until you cross over into Europe. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the Venice Convention, and that is where the European Union countries agreed that anything legal on a car in its home country would be treated as legal in any one of the other member states, unless there are some sort of exceptions written in to that convention, or the entire convention is not accepted by a country. Spain, for example, haven't signed up to the entire convention, so A-frames are definitely illegal unless you're towing the car off a motorway because it's broken down, at which point, as soon as you're off the motorway, you have to unhook it and put it on a trailer. So that's to allow sort of breakdown trucks just to put a tow rope on them and get you out of the way. Why is it illegal? Well, it's illegal to tow a car with anything but a trailer. Now, it has been said, and I've had long discussions with the people that sell and fit the A-frames, and they've assured me that the car becomes a trailer when it's fitted with their A-frame. Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? Because they want to sell, the A-frame. They want to do business, and that's their understanding. And they produce documentation that explains to the Spanish police in Spanish that the car is not really a car, it's a trailer. And it goes for all the sort of the Venice Convention stuff. I think it's the Venice Convention, and just explains and describes all of that in detail. However, when you dig further into it for yourself and you look up who's signed up to it, who's not, and so on, and you check on Spain, you'll find that unless your car has been type approved, and that's a legal construct in all countries, anything being manufactured that's on wheels, a trailer, a car, a caravan, has to be type approved by the transport people to be a trailer, if you call it a trailer. Now, a car has to be type approved. That's why, you know, any new car coming onto the market has to go through all sorts of tests, and they have to produce like 200 cars at least to have it type approved, and so on. So there's a lot of legality around whether your car becomes a trailer or it's still a car. And let me tell you that the sad fact is that unless you have your car reclassified and type approved as a trailer, and bear in mind you would have to go and do the same thing to at least 200 of the cars that you want type approved, it's not going to be a trailer. It's still going to be a car, even though for all intents and purposes it looks and acts like a trailer. Because to the police, and I've checked this with the Spanish police, to them it's got a wheel on its corner, it's got an engine, it's got brakes, it's got lights, it's got a steering wheel, and it's got registration numbers all over it. It's a car. And you're towing a car, not on a trailer. No matter what you say to the police, if they stop you and say, that's a car, you have to unhook it and drive it, or put it on a trailer, no matter what you protest, no matter what documentation you show, they're not going to accept it. So, a lot of people I know take the chance, they hook up their A-frame, drive across, and they don't get stopped at all, and it's all good. And you know, because all the way down through France, into Spain, and all through that, we only really saw about 3 or 4 local police in little towns, and they were sort of ambling around. We weren't towing a vehicle when we saw them. We weren't in our vehicle. We weren't in our vehicle when we saw them, so there was no issue, and we didn't have a trailer anyway. But the only other police we saw was on a big A road, and they were blue lighting in the outside lane, going to see a more urgent thing than somebody from the UK pulling a car on an A-frame. So the likelihood, and you might look at it like this, the likelihood of you getting stopped with your A-frame is quite small. But if you do get stopped, you're going to have to unhook it. And you know, I've heard stories that some people get stopped at the border, they get told to unhook it or get refused entry to the country because of the illegality of the towing the car. So my advice is, if you want to bring a car, and this is something that we considered, if you want to bring a car, it has to go on a trailer. So getting a tiny little car and a tiny little trailer, and one of the most popular ones is the little smart car, and you know, they produce a little smart trailer to go with that. It's exactly the right width and length, and it all ties down nicely. I think the whole thing comes in at just short of 1,500 kilos, so we could easily make that switch if we wanted to. However, to get a trailer and a halfway decent car, I think you've got to pay maybe £3,000 for the car upwards if you want to get anything reasonable. Maybe you get away with 2.5, but you've got to, you know, a new trailer is going to be 1,500 quid. Maybe you can get one for 1,000 second hand. You know, you want it all to be straight and right, don't you? When you're doing that sort of stuff, getting all that is going to cost you, you know, maybe £5,000. Time you bought the trailer, 1,500 quid. Time you bought a car for 2,500 or 3,000 and a trailer for 1,000. You got 4 and maybe 5, depending on plus you've got insurance for the car, insurance for the trailer, you've got maintenance, you've got the fuel you've got to keep in the car, you know, you've got all that stuff. Road tax, maybe, depending on what smart car you get. Some of them are road tax free, some of them are road taxed at maybe, I don't know, 30, 50, 60 pounds a year. But there's all of that stuff to think about. So I sort of thought, well, £5,000 is a lot of money for something that we may or may not use much. Okay, yeah, here where we are right now at Castillo de Banos, it might be useful to have a car to go further out. But do you know what? We're here for another couple of weeks, and we haven't needed it so far. So, you know, it would be an expensive addition to the whole thing. Plus, you've got to consider, you know, we get 25 to the gallon. That'd probably go down to 22, pulling 1,500 kilos on the back, or even might go down to 20 miles to the gallon. So you've got to calculate the cost of all that, and you know, maybe towing a trailer on the back increases your insurance on the van. I don't know. I've not asked that question. So, but if you're dead set on a car, get it on the back of a trailer, and you know, there's no legal issues then, so you won't need to worry about it. And you know, that's the last thing you want to do, is think about, you know, all the time you're going along with the A-frame on, oh, am I going to be stopped by the police? Because it's distracting, isn't it? So there you are. So that's the answer to the question. We don't have one because we don't think we need it. We think it's too costly and doesn't give enough benefit for the money. And we'd never go for an A-frame because we're always going to be in Europe and coming backwards and forwards. But remember, if you're in the UK, probably okay to be on an A-frame because they're much easier, and you don't have the weight of the trailer to pull along either. So there you go. That's it from me today. If you've enjoyed that and if you found it useful, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep on following us as we travel around the UK and Europe, living full time in our motorhome. That's it from me today. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you next time.